The Three Martini Lunch is brought to you in part today by Four Patriots. Two-thirds of Americans are at risk of experiencing a blackout, and you could be one of them, sitting in the dark and maybe the cold for hours or days or possibly even weeks. Are you ready to protect your family? You want to be prepared, and you can be with the Patriot Power Solar Generator 2000X from 4Patriots. You can find that and all the great deals at 4patriots.com/martini. Plus, right now, you can get a free solar panel with the purchase of the Patriot Power Generator 2000X. The generator now has double the previous capacity and is expandable so you can run your big appliances. It comes with 12 outlets, including 4 AC, plus 2 USB-C outlets. Remember, no gas ever needed. Visit 4patriots.com/martini to get your Patriot Power Generator 2000X with free solar panel included. Plus, get free shipping on orders over $97. Save more and get peace of mind now by going to the number 4patriots.com/martini. That's 4patriots.com/martini.
Welcome to the Three Martini Lunch. Grab a stool next to Greg Columbus of Radio America and Jim Garrity of National Review. Three Martinis coming up.
Very glad you're with us for the Thursday edition of the Three Martini Lunch. We've got good, bad, and crazy martinis for you today. And Jim, the big news yesterday, although I wish he had done it a few hours earlier because we had already recorded our Wednesday podcast by the time he made this announcement. But Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell announcing after this year's elections he will no longer serve as Senate Republican leader.
So I stand before you today, Mr. President, and my colleagues to say this will be my last term as Republican leader of the Senate. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. However, I'll complete my job my colleagues have given me until we select a new leader in November and they take the helm next January.
And so, Jim, you're obviously getting all sorts of different reactions about this. I'm looking at the 18 years of Mitch McConnell as Republican leader. So there are literally young adults in this country who have not been alive for a different Republican leader. I think if you look at his greatest moments, it's shepherding the Trump Supreme Court nominees through and stopping Merrick Garland from becoming the replacement when Justice Scalia passed away, sticking with Brett Kavanaugh, getting Coney Barrett done in the last few weeks before the 2020 election. On the legislative side, he was pretty good at party rules and thwarting Harry Reid where he could. Keep in mind, out of 18 years, he was in the minority for 12 of those. On the other hand, I don't know that there was ever a huge fight against the omnibus approach. I think that could have been done better in more regular order when we were there, or in the minority, doing more to thwart omnibus bills and that sort of thing, and making Democrats take difficult votes on legislation. So a lot of people with a lot of different ideas on Mitch's legacy. And but as he said at the beginning of his comments yesterday, he's 82 years old, and so not a huge surprise.
Greg, is it possible that 82 is just too old for a major role in the U.S. government? I'm shocked. Actually, even Joe Biden had said that, Mitch McConnell, he described it as we fought like hell, but he always played straight with me and, wished him well and said he's going to miss him. So, Greg, I have not seen, did Merrick Garland offer any fond farewells to Mitch McConnell? No, I think you're right. And I think that if you want to talk about, look, Mitch McConnell will have many legacies. I think I saw Hugh Hewitt saying that the next time they build a Senate building, the office building, it should be named after McConnell. And I think you can make a very strong argument that he is kind of the legislative giant of our time in terms of both, leading both the minority and the majority. If he had not blocked Merrick Garland back in 2016, there would not be that opening on the Supreme Court, and Trump would have appointed 2 justices instead of 3. You would not have the current majority on the Supreme Court, and Roe versus Wade is probably the most biggest and flashing neon sign of that legacy. But lots of decisions are going to come down over the past couple of years and in the coming years that will really be ultimately because of the actions of Mitch McConnell. And so I consider this a good martini on 2 fronts. One, a good martini in which thank you for your service, Mitch McConnell. I think Eric Erickson had a very good piece where he pointed out that, because he argued that McConnell should go, and he supported Matt Bevin in a primary challenge, and McConnell won and managed to bury the hatchet with Bevin. Bevin ended up becoming governor of Kentucky for a while. Mitch McConnell didn't care if you liked him. Mitch McConnell was willing to be the villain to make life easier for every other Senate Republican. And when the Republicans contemplate who should be McConnell's successor, the joke going around, it's going to be John. John Thune, John Cornyn, John Barrasso, John Cougar Mellencamp, John Rocker, probably not.
That's a name I've heard in a long time.
As they examine all these options, the primary job of a majority leader, it really is to know the caucus and to know, obviously you want to count to 50 or 51. But what's more is you have to recognize that your Florida senator might not be a huge supporter of offshore drilling. Your Michigan senator may not be supportive of anything that would make life tougher for the auto industry. There's a certain political realities in each state, and you have to recognize what those are and to know when to say to a member, look, we really need your vote on this. I know this is going to be a tough vote for you, but we can get something really great done if you do it. And when they're recognizing they just can't, that would be effectively giving up their seat for that. And so I hope whoever follows him has that good sense of the caucus and what everybody should stand for. And also, honestly, it was really frightening and troubling to see Mitch McConnell freeze up on camera more than once. I hope that this stepping down is not driven by health concerns, but at age 82, the body does not do what it used to do. So I hope that McConnell is well, and I think it's good for him to do this. So thank you for your service, Mitch McConnell. Vaya con Dios. I know he says he's going to stick around for a while, but it is probably time for some fresh new leadership in the legislative branch. And who knows, maybe we could use some in the executive branch as well.
Yes, exactly. Pelosi stepped down as Speaker at 82. McConnell's doing it on the minority side for the Republicans. So let that be a lesson at the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue.
For anybody else who's 81 right now, anybody at random, not to name names.
Jim, I would love to have a Republican senator that the leader could take into consideration their loyalty to the auto industry. That would be awesome. Are we allowed to have Republican senators in Michigan? We haven't had one since 2000, so that would be spectacular. Although there is an open seat this next time, but my hopes aren't exactly massive. And then, you mentioned the three kind of McConnell lieutenants who will certainly be jockeying for a position. The Senate GOP conference is not exactly, there's a lot of division. You see it on some of these votes. And so I'm curious to see who might emerge as a competing candidate to whichever one of those Johns comes forward. Rick Scott would probably want the job, assuming he gets reelected. Ron Johnson's name has come up. Be curious to see what happens. If Republicans do win the majority, I think it might be slightly easier to get this done. If they don't, it's going to be an ugly conference fight post-election, particularly if Biden gets reelected. So we will see. A lot of question marks out there in terms of what's coming forward with this Senate conference. Did you know that Fast Growing Trees is the biggest online nursery in the United States with more than 10,000 different kinds of plants and more than 2 million happy customers right here in the United States? You can grow lemon, avocado, olive, or fig trees inside your home on top of the wide variety of houseplants available there.
Fast Growing Trees makes it easy to order online, and your plants will be shipped directly to your door in just 1 or 2 days. And along with their 30-day Alive and Thrive guarantee, they offer free plant consultation forever.
You've heard me talk about how much I love our plants, but we also have a friend, Sarah, who lives in Texas, who actually bought some plants from Fast Growing Trees because of our ads on the podcast, and she ordered avocado trees. And she says the 30-day Alive and Thrive guarantee is legit. The avocado tree she has now doing great. In the beginning, they weren't so great. So she contacted them. She said there was no fuss at all. They were perfectly fine troubleshooting, and they confirmed that the trees needed replacing. No hassle whatsoever. Fast Growing Trees has the best deals online, up to half off on select plants. Plus, when you use the code Martini at checkout, you save an additional 15%. Go to fastgrowingtrees.com. Be sure to use the code Martini at checkout for an additional 15% off. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code MARTINI. Offer is valid for a limited time, and tell them that we sent you. All right, Jim, on to our bad martini now. And corruption in politics is not exactly a huge shock these days, but sometimes it's just so brazen you have to point it out. And for that, we turn to our good friend, California Governor Gavin Newsom. This is the New York Post version of the story. California Governor Gavin Newsom signed a law that exempts Panera Bread from a new $20 an hour minimum wage hike for fast food chains after the billionaire owner of several of the chain's locations donated to his campaign. So this new Fast Food Accountability and Standards Recovery Act, because they had to spell fast with the acronym, of course, includes an unusual carve-out that exempts this minimum wage hike mandate for, quote, chains that bake bread and sell it as a standalone item for fast food locations. So guess who qualifies for that? Panera. It benefits Greg Flynn, the billionaire CEO of Flynn Restaurant Group that just happens to own some 24 Panera Bread locations in the state. Jim, obviously, this is a little bit shady. This guy Flynn is also a high school friend of Gavin Newsom, who's donated more than $164,000 to Newsom's campaigns. I don't know if there is technically a paper trail to this. I don't know, but this seems awfully specific about a fast food chain that bakes bread and sells it individually on site. There's not a lot that do that.
So the first thought, Greg, is that this whole deal stinks. It is so dirty that it has to be sent to the French Laundry. For anyone who doesn't remember, the French Laundry was that restaurant that Gavin Newsom was, we're eating outside, wink, wink, because they had the windows open back during COVID. Another example of Gavin Newsom, the rules don't apply to me. I'm one of the special people. Well, in this one, there are economists who pointed out, first of all, that, we're going to have a $20 an hour minimum wage. But if Panera Bread really is exempt from this, they could, great for us. But eventually you'll be like, okay, wait a second. We're going to have to raise our wages in order to compete with every other fast food chain that's going to be paying $20 an hour. But the other thing I think was more likely to come out of this is that suddenly, if you want fresh bread at Burger King, you're going to be able to get fresh bread at Burger King, and McDonald's, and every other restaurant. We get exempted if we make bread? Let's bust out the sourdough. Let's start doing stuff, folks. This is the greatest thing that will happen to California's bakeries ever. As you suddenly, this is what we got to do to get exemption. Fine, we'll jump in and do that. First of all, this is another warning of why you should not have one-party states. There's not a serious enough opposition party to Gavin Newsom or to Democrats to cause them any, real serious headaches about this. And then the second thing is that people pointed out that the donations to Newsom, they're big to us, but in the context of a California gubernatorial race, they're actually not that large. It's certainly not like you could finance your entire race based on what this guy did. It's almost I can do this because I can. It's not like Gavin Newsom needed to do this to win the general election. It's not like he needed to do this to win the primary. He's just doing it because this guy's a buddy. And you need an exemption from the $20 an hour? Okay, fine, sure, no problem. We'll write it in there. It is absurd and is a demonstration of how the Gilded Age, the gilded the really well-connected billionaires can get what they want, even from good progressives like Gavin Newsom. Some of us are less than shocked.
Yeah, $4 per employee is a big, big deal over a relatively short period of time, and certainly over a long period of time. $20 an hour for fast food workers. That's going to lead to a lot of unemployment. That's what it's going to lead to. But
automation, great news for AI. Great. You go to McDonald's, and I try not to. It's not supposed to be very good for me. But they now have the kiosk. Oh yeah. They also still have the person behind the counter, but you can go in and punch it in. That's going to catch on in a lot of places in California because every business will be looking at, do we need this employee, and is there a way for us to eliminate the need for this employee?
And somewhere Barbara Lee also is saying $20 an hour, pikers, should be $50. Remember that little beauty? She's not going to make the Senate runoff, which means she's not going to be in Congress come next year, which is beautiful. But carve outs for your friends. Ugly, ugly politics, no matter who's doing it. All right, let's talk about magnesium breakthrough, because if you're up night pulling your hair out over how you got to pay your fast food workers more because Gavin Newsom thinks you should, unless you work for his buddy, you need good sleep to recover from that, and Magnesium Breakthrough is the way to do it. But if you're struggling with sleep, take the Sleep Challenge, a 14-day sleep challenge from BioOptimizers, the makers of Magnesium Breakthrough. Get a 14-day supply for just the cost of shipping. Order it at magbreakthrough.com/martini-free.
It turns out that more than 75% of the population is magnesium deficient. And what most people don't know is that even if they're taking a magnesium supplement, they're probably still deficient because they're not getting all 7 forms. Magnesium Breakthrough is the ultimate way to give your body all 7 forms in just one supplement.
To get your free 14-day supply of Magnesium Breakthrough, visit magbreakthrough.com/martini-free. This offer is only available at magbreakthrough.com/martini-free. That's martini-free, all one word. Overcome the struggle and get the most relaxing sleep ever with Magnesium Breakthrough. Just pay shipping. Go to magbreakthrough.com/martini-free, magbreakthrough.com/martini-free. All right, Jim, on to our crazy martini now, and it's dueling border visits for President Biden and President Trump. And their location of their visits is also telling. Biden will visit the Rio Grande Valley sector near Brownsville today, whereas Trump is visiting the Eagle Pass area. Now, according to Bill Malugin of Fox News, over the last 5 days, Border Patrol in Eagle Pass has apprehended more than 2,000 illegal immigrants, whereas in Brownsville, only 46 apprehensions. Now, Biden did a very sanitized drive-through, I think it was in El Paso, earlier in his administration. And so given the disparity in where folks are crossing, he's going to get a fairly low number today probably as well, which he is going to most likely claim as evidence that it's working. Yet at the same time, he's going to blame Republicans for not passing the Senate bill. So any lingering problems at the border or internally, I'm sure, will be Republicans' fault. Meanwhile, Congressman Wesley Hunt, Republican of Texas, flagged this little piece of audio. This is Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas on MSNBC in 2021, so 3 years ago, with Nicole Wallace asking the question here about rescinding Trump border policies. And here's how that went.
And I'd like to understand from you what Trump-era immigration policies have been banned, ended, reversed, and if any investigations are underway by you.
So we have rescinded so many Trump immigration policies, it would take so much time to list them.
And so, Jim, I mean, you could certainly argue that the Trump border approach wasn't perfect, but when you look at the numbers compared to the two administrations, there's no comparison. We hear the Republicans talking all the time about the 94 different executive actions that Biden took, either to absolutely reverse what Trump did or make major changes in a way that they believe has facilitated this current crisis where several million now have come into this country and are going to be here for an extended period of time, most likely. And to try to go from this is not a problem to insisting that the border is secure until the very moment that a piece of legislation that you know Republicans won't go for comes out, and then, oh, we have a horrible problem and it's all their fault that it's not being addressed right now. Yeah. Crazy.
Look, first of all, the notion of Biden going to the border today, which is, I think, is only the second time in the course of this term that he's been there, reminded me of not that early, 6 months into Biden's presidency, when an interviewer, I believe it was Lester Holt, pointed out to Vice President Kamala Harris that she had not been to the border and she had been named the quote-unquote border czar. Now, she was quick to emphasize that she was in charge of migration from Central America, but they're coming up through the border. You kind of figured that would be part of your bailiwick. You'd want to at least, take a look at that. And I believe Kamala Harris's response is, well, I haven't been to Europe either. And kind of this, by the way, you may notice that my Kamala Harris giggle and my Mickey Mouse laugh are kind of the same. For those who remember Disney CTU. But the point being why would I need to go there? Why would, look, and again, if you want to say it's a photo op, if you want to say it's dismissed, fine. I'll point out that Trump is going to the border also today. And I think there is this sneaking suspicion on the part of either the Biden White House or the Biden campaign or both. Oh, if Trump is there and is banging the drum on this issue and our guy is back in Washington, it's going to look bad. So we'd better get him out there and we better at least look like we care. And we're going to send to a part where it's relatively secure rather than to the bad part where all the migrants are coming across. I mean, it's a step in the right direction. It's an acknowledgement that the Biden team recognizes they have a problem here. I don't think it's really necessarily going to fool people because, look, we are, coming at the end of February. Happy Leap Year Day, everybody. If you have a birthday, I'll wish you another happy birthday in 4 years. But, so here we are, and Biden is only making a second visit to it. In some polling, people are saying this is the number one concern before the country. If they're not saying it's number one, the previous polls had it at number two and advancing, rather rapidly. People's minds are on this. So if you really want to change people's perception about the border and immigration and people claiming asylum with sketchy claims and getting court dates in 2035 and all that stuff, change the reality of it. Biden visits are not going to do it by themselves. It's just not. And oh, by the way, why has Biden not been there? Because Biden doesn't travel out of the nation's capital nearly as much as other presidents. He does do it once in a while. He was out and did a fundraising swing through California. He was in Michigan a bit before the primary. He did do a trip to South Carolina before that. It's not like he never does it. And they'll sometimes put together 2 or 3 stops. But I think, let's face it, an 81-year-old president can't get around as easily as he does. And you may have noticed when President Biden has overseas trips, he usually doesn't have an event for like a day or two afterwards because he's got to rest up. These are the realities of an 81-year-old president. So if you realize, well, okay, we're really bad on this issue, but we'll have him visit the border more and that'll alleviate it. No, it won't. Biden's really got to get something done. And I point out that, like, I was not a huge fan of the Langford legislation. I think you were an even bigger critic of it. The point is that, like, there was something to be gained there. There was at least you could, if you threw in border fencing funding, I feel like they could have gotten to yes. And, Biden keeps emphasizing to us how important it is to help Ukraine. I completely agree. He keeps talking about how important it is to help Israel. I agree. How important it is to help Taiwan. I agree. But he won't give Republicans anything close to H.R. 2 in order to get things done. Well, Republicans have the House. It's a very narrow majority, but they have the House. You want to get something done, you're going to have to give them more than half a loaf. You're going to have to, make some more concessions on this. And Biden won't. And as we've been talking about sanctuary cities all week on this podcast, what are you getting from this? What is the upside of this policy? Biden, apparently we're seeing Biden recommending that violent offenders should be turned over to ICE in these sanctuary cities. Oh, thank you. It only took you 3 years to figure that out? So this is where we are. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I just want to point out, with these fundamental problems, people hear about people getting killed because of an illegal immigrant who was in police custody and then released and then put back on the streets, and he kills some poor student from the University of Georgia. People remember that. It sticks in their minds and it sticks in their craws, and they will be thinking about it in November. And the only chance Biden has to change that is to actually get something passed and get something signed. But he's, until then, no, we're just going to visit and we're going to say what a great job we're doing. Oh, yeah, that'll do it. Okay, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
The amount of gaslighting we're going to get in the State of the Union next week on this issue and the economy, because we know he's going to attack shrinkflation and corporate greed as the reason we're paying more for stuff.
He's going to take a Doritos bag and throw it and hit an illegal immigrant and say, got him. I still got it. That time I hit that home run in the Congressional All-Star game.
Hey, you mentioned Leap Day. So we were talking about Indiana Jones yesterday being out in 1989. So if you were born in 1989, you can run for president now, which is kind of scary. Unless you're born today. If you're born today, the latest you could be born is 1884. So good luck, February 29th birthdays.
Greg, I am blessed to work with a lot of great people. We had a get-together for National Review folks last night, and I got to, interact, have a nice conversation with somebody who I work with who is 22 years old, brilliant young reporter. We're talking about 9/11 and we realize this person was not born on 9/11. Either I was aging as fast as Donovan drinking from the wrong grail, or if you just want to say Matt Damon at the end of Saving Private Ryan, where they found that really good actor and he just morphs into him and ages 40 years in a matter of seconds. That's how I felt, realizing I have distinguished, good, bright colleagues who were not born on 9/11. Like we make jokes earlier in the week about white water, right? And I think most of our listeners get that. But it's just this kind of frightening when you realize you have an entire frame of reference of events that some people don't have at all. And as far as they're concerned, you're talking about the Civil War, or the Whiskey Rebellion, or something like that. And after conversations like this, Greg, I need to conduct a whiskey rebellion of my own.
Kids, get off our lawn. No, just kidding. It's good to have their perspective as well. It's one of the things I love about our interns. Although I was taken aback one time where the intern was like, well, that happened before I was born. So do I really need to know that?
Yes.
Yes, you do. Jim, have a great Thursday. See you tomorrow.
Think of history as the prequel to everything that's happening now. Yes. See you tomorrow, Greg.
Jim Garrity, National Review. I'm Greg Corombos of Radio America. Thanks for being with us today. Please subscribe to the 3 Martini Lunch if you don't already, and tell your friends about us as well. Thanks also for your 5-star ratings and your kind reviews. Please keep those coming. Get us on your home devices. All you have to do is say, play 3 Martini Lunch podcast. Follow us on X. He's at Jim Garrity. I'm at Dateline_DC. Have a great Thursday, and join us again Friday for the next 3 Martini Lunch.